James, you are almost fresh off the plane from Bahrain. It's been an incredible few weeks, very busy. Can you give us an insight into what the team's been learning?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had 2 races, Shanghai, then Bahrain, and a test just afterwards. And in fact, in April, we've actually got 3 races. Sochi just fits in just at the back end of April as well. Very, very busy month for us. But every single lap that we do, we learn about the car and the tyres. And that's what we're here for. We're here to understand what we can do better and improve on it all the time. So going through Shanghai, we learnt another step again above Melbourne. Very different conditions, very different track, but actually we got on top of the tyres for one of the most part of it really and had a good race. Difficult circuit, we transitioned from a damp condition into a drying condition, which always throws up a little bit of variability. Lewis came through very, very strong. Valtteri, as you saw, had a small issue in the race, but pulled back most of that result again for him. So a lot of learning there. As we went through to Bahrain, again, another little point on the curve for us to understand where we are on the tyres. In the race, we already spoke about it, generator problem at the beginner, put the pressures high, and really that put us into a situation that was an unknown for us on the tyres. But every lap that you do, you learn and you understand. And as we went through Bahrain, we actually had a test afterwards, a 2-day test in Bahrain. All teams were there, but it allows you the opportunity to now be able to understand what maybe you didn't understand properly during the course of the race. We had a very constructive 2 days, lots of laps on the board, both Lewis and Valtteri driving, and we learned a huge amount.
For 2017, James, Pirelli have been tasked to provide more durable tyres, and Pascal Wehrlein showcased that in Bahrain, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. So at this stage of the season, what's interesting for me is you're seeing a lot of variability between how different teams are using the tyres. Obviously, in Pascal's case, 45 laps is what he was able to achieve on a set of soft tyres. We had Esteban, again, able to do a very long stint on super soft. And you saw us at the beginning of the race with the higher pressures, just struggling a little bit more to extract performance from those tyres. Ferrari really able to extract just a little bit more at certain points in the race. And that's great. That's what makes an interesting championship. It's how quickly you can understand and get on top of these issues. And quite clearly, what Pirelli have done is provide a tyre to us that is able to be more durable. We are able to take it longer. We are able to do more with it than we used to be able to do.
When you pitted the cars, Bottas took on super softs, but Lewis the softs. Why did you choose super softs for Bottas?
At that point in the race, you have to formulate a lot of your understanding on what you did on Friday. And on Friday, there was some evidence that the super soft was actually a very good race tyre, if you can keep it working. And all teams went into the race with a new super soft, so it wasn't just ourselves. Most teams had that belief going into it. Stint 1 of the race wasn't great for us, but we put it down to the pressures. And when we fitted the super soft here, it was because we thought it was the fastest race, but we had unknowns. And that's why I split the cars at that point in time. So Lewis actually went on to the soft tyre, as you can see here in the middle, and that provided the learning we needed to understand what to be doing later on in the race. As you saw, most other teams really focusing on that super soft. We were one of the few cars really to split and fit the soft that early on.
After this year's Australian Grand Prix, a lot of people mentioned that we may see less passing manoeuvres this season. 2017 Rolex Australian Grand Prix, 14 overtakes in total. Compare that to the 2016 race, 50, so significantly less. What have we learnt in Bahrain and China to make us think that maybe we will see some more overtakes?
In Bahrain and China, we did have a lot more obviously than we had in Melbourne. And the overtakes we had, some of them were spectacular. Even in Melbourne, they were spectacular. You had Ocon going down the straight.
3 abreast.
3 abreast going into turn 1. That's brilliant. You're getting overtakes that are a lot harder to achieve, but when they do achieve them, they're a little bit more special. In China and Bahrain, we had 182 in China in 2016, and as we go into 2017, we ended up with 54, which on the face of it sounds very much less. But actually the reality of it was the variability caused by the tyres in 2016, the range of strategies you had meant you had a lot of cars out of position at that point in time. Lewis at the back of the grid, for example. And actually the 54 we had this year, some of them were still spectacular. You had Vettel behind 2 Red Bulls, able to fight through the field and get back up towards Lewis again. And the reality is that's what we want. We want the ability to have fight for the positions that you can on track, but to be able to overtake. And I think we have that now.
If we look at Bahrain as well, in 2016, 125 overtakes, and similar to what you were saying about China, only 48 in 2017. So again, less overtakes, but same quality over quantity?
Yeah, what we've seen with this is actually we have a better understanding of it. You can still overtake, a little bit more difficult than last year, and there's no doubt in my mind, circuits like Budapest, Barcelona, it's going to be tough to overtake. But the reality is, when we are getting overtaking, it's decisive in the race. Last year, probably a little bit too easy. You could easily fall back into traffic and get back up again. Now you've really got to make every move count, and you've got to be aggressive in what you do.
Sebastian Vettel won the Bahrain Grand Prix. That means he now leads the Drivers' Championship, and Ferrari leads Mercedes by 3 points in the Constructors' Championship. What does that mean for the team here in Brackley?
To win a Formula One Grand Prix against Ferrari, who is a formidable adversary, really, in that circumstance, everything has to be right. And we weren't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. We had a number of problems. The generator was one, the pit stops was another one, communication wasn't optimum through the race. Everything has to be lined up to win. And actually, that's what's great about Formula One. It is all about marginal gains and getting it right. But conversely, if on a bad day we lose just a few points relative to Ferrari, that's great. There's 20 races across the season, and you have to get it right most of the time in order to win the Formula One World Championship. But equally, on the bad days, you've got to make sure you pick everything up, understand, learn, rebuild as a team, and move forward as a team. And we are extremely good at doing that. It hurts me. It pains me to lose a race relative to him. But the reality is that's what you need to keep moving on and fighting in order to keep going and win the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship.
Well, let's see if we'll have more good days in Sochi, James. Thanks very much.
Thank you.